tough week last week. Put a lot of time, a lot of energy into that. Not just us as coaches, but the kids, the players, everybody. And you know, it's disappointing. Disappointing in a lot of phases, not just that you lost the game, but disappointing in the way we handled the pressure a little bit and how we played. And we got beaten all three phases of the game. It's not like you can point a finger at any one phase. So offense, defense, and special teams, the entire way around the board, to be honest with you. And if you're going to play the champs, you're going to play the best. You're going to. I think what we didn't do was handle some of the the punches and the shots that they took or gave us. Whether it was big scores quick from their offense, or a blocked field goal. Some of the things, both offensively, defensively, and special teams wise. Really, if you kind of go back and say, shoot, we didn't play very well, but with 5.5 minutes ago in the third quarter, it's 21-6. We got the ball across the 50. Not playing your best football, but still with an opportunity, to maybe change and turn things around. But we didn't get it done, and I think the key now is we got to be able to move on, because it's a big week. It's a big week for us, for our program. And I think that's the ability for us to kind of shift gears now. Take a devastating loss, lose an opportunity to play for championships and all the things that we've talked about, and then refocus ourselves and understand that it's a short week. You get back at 5 in the morning. A lot of emotions and a lot of energy put into last week. How do you continue to move forward and play better and put your best foot forward? And I think for us, it's really important about this is a chance for us to make history. I think 6 teams in UC history since 1885 have had 10 or more wins, and we have an opportunity to do that. So this week's all about a chance to make history for our seniors and really for our program. For our program to be able to take one of these big shots and big punches and be able to come back. And I think that's we pride ourselves on the ability to handle adversity and respond well in all phases. I think this is a big phase. This is a big step for us. I think we did a good job after Temple at taking a shot, but this one was different. So we've got to get back to work. We've got to make sure we've got the minds of our 18 to 22-year-olds. And I told the coaches that this will be their biggest challenge as a coach to me in the entire year, is getting the minds right for these guys to go play on Friday.
Short term, obviously, it's disappointing, the result, but long term, do you think it was good for them to experience that in the environment, playing in a big game?
It is. It's never. I mean, when you really start to go back and you look at it obviously in the off season, you will. Sometimes your greatest adversities are what make you grow the most. And I think, as we really study and things like that, there's a lot of things from the entire week, from the attention, the opportunity to be in a situation to play for a championship, the atmosphere, the things like that. But it still comes down, to being able to handle those situations. So I think our guys will have an opportunity to learn a lot from it. And, these are the situations you want to be in. Good. I mean, they're disappointed too. I mean, that's the thing. Sometimes when you put as much into it and you have as much high hopes and expectations in the way that things have gone, they're disappointed. And it's always interesting to see when they come in on Sunday. I don't think they knew exactly okay, what's he going to be like? What's coach going to be like? How's this going to be? And it wasn't a whole lot of anything other than, hey, let's look at the culture of what we do and how we handle things. And I think one of those big messages is we talk about the culture here, the brotherhood, and the things like that, and understanding what letting a brother down is really all about. And some guys think that because you lost, you let a brother down. Garrett Campbell, coach, I'm not going to let you down. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to play. Garrett, you're not letting me down. If you go out there and you can't play, you're not letting me down. The only way you let me down is you go out there and put yourself in harm's way. You go out there and selfishly you want to play, but if you don't think that you can truly help our team play better, then you got to say it. And so I think it's an opportunity for us to grow, just learn from not just all the experiences, but even the experience of, hey, what is letting a brother down? There's some big plays in that game. Not letting a guy down because you don't make the play. It's how we handle those things that that in return can be what lets people down.
Looking at senior day, overall, what has this group meant to you as the group that kind of got things back on track?
Well, it's hard to just pinpoint. I mean, there's They mean a lot, obviously. I mean, I'm not saying the seniors last year didn't mean a lot, and that's you know them better. You've seen a growth. They all mean a lot to you, but it's you get the experiences of seeing a guy change, and I don't just mean they changed in 1 year, but their ability to affect a culture. So you're so excited about what it is that they've done, but you're also so grateful. And this is, to me, what you love about coaching. It's being having a successful season, having the wins. You want to win championships, but really when you look back at it, when you see some growth in their ability to how these guys have played their best football their senior year, but also how they've really helped change the locker room in the ways that which we want to be able to change it. And I think that's just through relationships. That's through the care and the love for your, not just your brothers, but that name that's on the front of your chest. And I hope that they understand that, and I hope that our entire program understands that, so that they understand what the magnitude of this week is all about.
Talk about being a line-driven program. Between the offensive and defensive line, I think that's over half of your seniors.
It is. Yeah, it's scary for now. I mean, that's why the entire season has been, yes, those guys are the strength and the core of who we are, but the development of those guys that are behind them is really going to be what the future is all about. So it's been addressed the entire season, from the offensive line to the defensive line, and the development of those things. But that's why, once we get ourselves into a bowl prep and things like that, there's going to be a lot of emphasis put in those areas, because you set these standards and this expectation, and now it's you got to be able to take that next step to try to live up to it.
Would you say those 6 or 7 guys we're talking about are the reason why, a big reason why?
Oh, there's no doubt. I mean, every year it's going to be the big reason why we have success. This year, I'm not sure it's any more than it will be in the future, but I think that it's the offensive line and defensive line driven, but I also believe it's senior driven. And I mean that when you can look back at the season and say your seniors are playing their best football, you got a chance to be successful. Because regardless, whether you got a freshman quarterback that's playing really well, or a sophomore tailback that's getting a lot of attention, the guys that set a lot of the standards and the examples on our team and in that locker room are the seniors. And to see them play the way they have, I'm not saying they're perfect. I'm not saying they all played great every day. But when you really look at it, those guys' ability to play above their potential, meaning they believe in the culture, they believe in what it is you're doing, they work at it every single day. Those things, all of a sudden, people start to see how they perform. It goes a long way in the entire program.
You had Hayden up there as a captain on Saturday. What went into that decision?
He's done everything we've asked him to do. He hasn't thrown a whole lot of touchdowns. He hasn't thrown a whole lot of completions. He hasn't thrown a whole lot of incompletions either. But he's done everything we've asked him to do. Didn't know how this whole thing was going to work out. I truly believed, and I told him all year, you're going to have to win us a couple games. I don't know where they are. I don't know when it's going to happen. In what situation, I don't know, whether Des gets hurt or something just doesn't go right. And he's been ready every moment. He's been a great attitude. They've been a great teammate. He's an example of what a captain really is. He's an example of what a leader is. Leaders make others around him better. Not always with their play, because he hasn't been an example with his play, because he hasn't had the opportunity, but he's been an example in everything else he's done.
This week a year ago, you mentioned that you weren't used to playing without a championship, without a bowl game, anything like that. You look at the team now, what would you say about the team's overall transformation? Did you think this would happen this quickly?
I don't know. I mean, again, I haven't been a whole lot of places, and I've been fortunate enough even to see some transitions, and in year 1 and 2, there's things happen pretty quick. It's a little bit easier for me to assess now as to why and how, and I think the things that really come down to changing a culture, because there's a fine line between, a positive culture and, let's just say, a toxic culture, or whatever the negative term in our field is now. And that fine line has to do with 2 things: relationships and winning. And I think that we built the relationships, the most important thing, and in return we've gotten winning. How fast does it happen? How quick does it happen? How many wins does that account for? Right now it's accounted for 9 in some ways. So I don't know that I'm surprised. I don't know that I'm not surprised. I mean, it's just, I've seen a lot of development. I think that's the most important thing.
Talk a little bit about East Carolina last year. Quarterback Gardner Minshew, Washington State, now they have a different quarterback this year. Any difference
No, I think they're pretty explosive. I mean, I know that, their record might not show, I think, how good they really are, but they're coming off a big win and have some momentum and some energy. They've played really well, I think, in the last 5 or so games, offensively especially. Have lost in some shootouts and some good opponents since they've made the change at quarterback. So, there's a lot of things I don't know as much about. Obviously the guy leaving and stuff like that, but from last year to this year, I know it was one of the worst feelings we'd had and probably the worst game we played the entire season last year. So, I think that sticks hopefully in a lot of our minds and say, hey, we want to erase that feeling, and we got to do it on Friday.
I don't know if this is a stupid question or not.
No questions are dumb questions, right? At least that's what we tell the players. I'm not sure I'm going to say that about you.
You talk a lot about brotherhood and camaraderie this season. Is there anything different or special you try to do? Guys aren't going to be able to be with their families for Thanksgiving. They game on Friday. How do you handle something like that?
This one's difficult because I've played a lot on Saturdays of Thanksgiving, and you have that opportunity on Thursday to kind of have some time, whether it's our coaches with their families or the players with their families. But playing on Friday is different. So we kind of had that talk that Thursday is our pregame, and you work 285 days a year for 12 guaranteed game days. And those game days are special, whether it's the pregame on the day before the game or the actual day of the game. So we have to hold that sacred. So we're going to try to give them a little bit of time, obviously, when we can practice on Wednesday if families are in town and things like that. We've got a Thanksgiving dinner on Wednesday night, but really we just want guys to have a place to go to make sure Wednesday night you're going to have a good meal and be with some family. If family's not in town, if they don't have a place to go on Thursday, whether they're on the travel squad or not, we'll take them with us to the hotel, and we're not going to have mashed potatoes and turkey. We're going to have our normal, Friday night, or in this case Thursday night meal pregame. Night before a game, but again, it's not food. It's not, something you put on your table, something special. No, it's about the people you're around, and I think that's where, either way, whether they're with their true family or with this family, we're going to be together and we're going to celebrate.
You spoke of last year's seniors a little bit. One of those guys, Corey Cunningham, got his first start for Arizona. How much do you get to keep in touch with those guys?
I don't keep in touch with my own brother in the midst of a season, to be honest with you. So it's difficult, but you do check, and every Sunday that's one of my routines before I actually go to sleep is, hey, let's check on those guys that are playing the NFL. Did they play? Did they have any stats? Just so you know where they are. Not that you communicate with them, but you got pride in those guys and what they're doing and what they're representing. So I don't know. Was it the last 2 weeks he started, or just this past week?
This week. He played last week.
Yeah, so I haven't talked to him, but I knew about it, and excited to when the season gets over, or even after this week, to reach out and see how he's doing and how it's been.